two statements that were made by different very senior figures in the government. Well, three, really, if you count James Cleverly, the Home Secretary, who we'd expected to make a big statement in the Commons about the government's Rwanda policy, but it kind of didn't materialise, although he did take questions, a bit of finger-wagging from Yvette Cooper, the Shadow Home Secretary. But there we are. We've had the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, talking to business leaders where he was, at a conference or business summit, talking about, well, basically, come on in, the water's lovely. If you've got a good degree from a top university in the world, come over, we'll help you with your visa. Come and live here, make your family life here, bring your business here, come and work here. And at the same time, we had Michael Gove, the Levelling Up and Housing Secretary, currently appearing before the COVID inquiry, by the way. We'll carry some of that on the show a little bit later. But he's talking about how, yes, actually, the numbers are much worse than people think. And actually, the pressure on our housing market has been huge. And it would be bad anyway, but especially with all the numbers of migrants coming in. Are these things mutually exclusive? Or is it perfectly reasonable to say, we'll take your brightest, your best and your richest, and your skilled, but we don't want people who aren't a net contributor who will put pressure on housing and other services? Is that basically what the government's saying?
Well, I think the government's position depends on who's listening, who the audience is at any one time. There's clearly a tension between the short-term needs of the country in terms of having sufficient the workers to do the jobs that are there. We've got employment rates at the lowest ever. Employers that I work with, they find it very difficult to fill the jobs, the skilled jobs they need to be to recruit locally. They're finding it very difficult. And let me tell you, they don't want to recruit from abroad. My clients don't like spending tens of thousands of pounds on Home Office fees when they can recruit a local person.
But so why can't they find people? We're told, people, whether it's in hospitality, whether it's people who run care homes, whether it's skilled jobs, whether it's the NHS in healthcare, they can't find people to do the job. We're a country of what, almost 70 million people. We've got some of the top universities in the world, a highly trained workforce. Why can't they find those people? Are they not paying enough? Are they not offering the right, contracts? What's going on? How come they're able to get people from abroad?
Well, lots of commentators have said that British people just don't want to do those jobs. People are not applying. I can only tell you about my own clients. I'm not familiar with what the markets are saying or what the data is on the whole of the economy. My clients are telling me that they're not finding local workers. They advertise the jobs in earnest. They use all the recruitment consultancies that they can find to do that, and they're not finding the correct. And remember that we have a global market now, including the EU. So it's a global market. They want the brightest and the best, and perhaps we don't have the brightest and the best. And I'd rather have somebody who's committed to working for me for 5 years, which they have to do if there's a 5-year visa, than taking somebody on who's going to leave within a year.
Yeah, and especially once you paid a lot of those costs. But then we did see, didn't we, the NHS, we had it for years before Brexit, we had NHS trust bosses and recruitment people going over to Spain and elsewhere, recruiting a load of nurses, trying to get people to come and work for them. And then, of course, actually, we saw they only lasted 1 or 2 years. Often they go home. So it often doesn't pay for itself. But, of course, you get a nice little junket out to Madrid for the week if you're trying to do that recruitment. Here's the thing, though. When people come and live and work here from abroad to do jobs which I don't believe for a moment that we don't have some of the brightest and best people in the world to come and work. Maybe those people are going abroad. Maybe our brightest and best are going abroad. They think they've got better opportunities abroad as well. But when we've got 745,000 net migrants arriving in the country, bearing in mind it's well over 1 million people new coming to the country, they need somewhere to live. And even if there's someone on, 100 grand, 200 grand, £1 million a year, they still need somewhere to live. There's someone who's coming to this country who wasn't here, before. They need a home. We are not building homes, whether they are for the multimillionaires, the middle classes, or people on the lowest incomes on, say, working as a care worker. We are not building enough new homes to put all those people in. So where the hell are they going?
Well, the responsibility for building those homes is under Michael Gove as well. He's one of the ministers responsible for that. So, to detract attention from his failings of not doing that, he's got to blame somebody. And look, these migrants, the vast majority of those net migration figures are either students or people coming here to work. Students, 80% of them go back at the end of their course. While they're here, students are spending about £30 billion in our economy. On top of that, the migrants are not a strain on the NHS because they pay for that twice, because they pay an annual charge and they pay NI contributions. So they're paying for their healthcare, if they receive any, twice. Many of them don't have children. Students are not allowed now to bring dependents. They're net contributors to our economy. But there is a tension between our short-term needs and our long-term needs. I think long-term, we do need to recruit local. We need to invest in our education system, in our housing market, and really look long-term instead of just blaming. The blame game is always on the migrants. We should be thanking them.
I don't know anybody who's... I don't blame anybody trying to make a better life for themselves moving to this country at all. All credit to those people. And there's a reason why a lot of people hire people from abroad, because they know they've got by definition, they've got a load of gut up and go because they've got up and gone. No issue at all about that. But my worry is when we are hiring, say, a doctor from India, when actually we're not allowing a homegrown students who've got straight A's at A-level in all the right subjects to study medicine because we only allow a limited number to study. Then say, oh, we haven't got enough doctors, so we're going to hire someone from abroad. No, I do object to that. I don't blame the Indian doctor. I blame the government. I blame the BMA for agreeing to those limitations. And I blame short-termism generally in our planning system. But the point is there is an impact there because that person arrives and they need somewhere to live. And they do have kids eventually. And those kids need somewhere to go to school. And actually, the vast majority of people in this country are not net contributors, even the homegrown ones. You have to earn over 45 grand a year to be a net contributor in this country. And most people don't earn that.
And migrants don't claim benefits. They're not...
No, this is a nonsense. No, but that's the thing. I hate this when people say, oh, yeah, but they're working. If you are working in a low-paid job, for a start, a lot of the time people do end up being entitled to accept benefits, like housing benefits. Even if they're not getting any of that, they're not making a contribution to society over and above what they're actually getting out, because someone still has to pay for the lights on the streets and for the healthcare system to exist and the schools to exist and the trains and all of that. So this, even if someone comes here and is very diligent and works very, very hard doing important work, that's great. But in terms of the net hit to the country's finances, they are not making each and every person in this country per capita better off. They're just not.
Well, that's according to you, Julia, but the data says
according to me, that's maths.
Well, you say that, but you're focusing on the low end earners.
The vast majority of people who come to this country from abroad are low earners.
No, that's not true. The skilled worker system. Well, it isn't, Julia.
Really?
It is
Tell me the numbers.
Not true. Yeah. The skilled worker system, you've got to have a minimum salary. That's
and what's that minimum salary now? That minimum salary is below the average wage in this country for most people.
Or the going rate for the job. So for a chief executive, let's say, the minimum salary is 65,000.
Yeah, the vast majority of people coming to this country to work are not chief executives of big companies. It's nonsense.
Well, the vast majority of them are working in our NHS, and I think you'll find that if you go to a hospital, if it wasn't for the migrants, we wouldn't have any nurses and doctors and radiographers.
But we have just made that point. We had a deliberate government policy to limit the number of nurses and doctors we would train. We stopped our young men and women who wanted to go into those skilled areas from being allowed to do that. They were not allowed to go on courses. We limited the number. And then we say, we haven't got enough. Oh, aren't we grateful to people coming from abroad? I mean, I think it's immoral to be hiring people from third world countries, by the way, to come and work in our healthcare system. I think that's a deeply immoral thing for a rich first world nation to do. But it also prevents our best and brightest young people from doing the job that they want to do.
I agree. Look, we've got more in common than you think that we haven't. No, I agree with you. I think it's absolutely right we should train and recruit people from here instead of relying on people from abroad. I agree.
You're just saying your clients say they can't. All right, Ivon, we'll leave it there. Ivon Sampsons, always good to talk to you.